Welcome to Ask the Experts. I am Laura Gilsdorf, Realtor with Madison and Company, and with me is LeAnne and Laura.
Hi, I'm LeAnne with Universal Lending, a mortgage lender in soon to be Texas, actually very soon, and Arizona and Colorado.
Congratulations. I can't wait till you are ready to rock and roll in Texas. So today we are just having a discussion about what is the best way to set yourself up as a strong buyer in the real estate market in Denver. But really, I think all of the advice we're going to give today is translatable to any real estate market. And where it usually starts, and I know for me, I get a lot of people who start with a real estate agent, and I love it. But my first course of action is always to send you to LeAnne for financing or another lender in your area, because the first thing that you want to have in order is your finances. LeAnne, when it comes to being a strong buyer and setting yourself up for success, what do you recommend for those buyers to take a look at?
Well, I always ask people before they even have the initial conversation with me about approval is to come up with a budget. And that look at what you're paying now for rent or what your current mortgage payment is, how much flexibility do you have in that extra cash flow? Are there things that you can cut back on? Look at everything that you're even up, down to your streaming, all the streaming apps that you may have. So when we meet, we have a really good idea of what payment you're comfortable with. And then what I do is we target that payment. So we'll come up with, okay, how much do you need to save for a down payment? Or is there down payment assistance available? What purchase price that looks like, keeping your target monthly payment goal. So when you do find a house, you are a strong buyer because you're comfortable with making that decision. You're really less likely to back out. And you have everything in order, so you're ready to make that purchase, sign that dotted line, which can be scary.
Yeah, for sure, because I know a lot of the initial conversations I have with buyers tends to be circulated around, oh, well, I can't afford a down payment, or I need this much for a down payment. And for some reason they forget about, well, what is the lifestyle that I'm after, and what lifestyle can I afford? So I think all of your advice is really poignant for them to really hone in on, okay, do I want to be able to travel, and like, what do I want that lifestyle? So maybe I want to invest a little less into my home, or am I really a homebody and my home is where it's at, and so I'm okay spending a little bit more on my home because I don't have a lot of other expenses. But it's definitely a worthwhile conversation before you start hitting the market, so that you really are solid in what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get this question a lot, just because I'm bringing, someone will say, well, I'm only bringing 3% in. That doesn't make me, a good buyer compared to maybe someone that's bringing 20%. And that is false. As long as you close on a loan and that's number one. So it doesn't matter if you're bringing 3%, 5%, 20%, or 50% in. The main objective is to get you into the house and close that loan. And if you're approved, it doesn't matter for 3%. It doesn't matter if you're bringing 20 or 3%, as long as you're pre-approved.
Exactly. And so when you're out there writing offers, I know it does come up a lot of like, well, are they going to even accept me because I'm only putting X amount down, or I'm using this program, or I'm using that program? Honestly, that's not the deal breaker in majority of circumstances. Now, that's not to say there's not a seller or a seller's agent out there that has some aversion to these things, and you're going to have to work through with that with your real estate agent. And that's where having a trusted real estate agent is really imperative, so that they don't become barriers to you. But that's not ultimately what makes or breaks your ability to win an offer.
Yeah, 100%. And it shouldn't be.
No, it definitely should not be. So the next thing that I like to tell buyers that is really important in making yourself a really strong buyer is knowing what you want, first of all. So are you looking for a condo? Are you looking for a single family house? Do you want acreage? Having that kind of somewhat narrowed down before you really start your house search, because if you're too all over the place, it can really dampen your experience and make you very confused when you're out there looking. So if you need to do some exploration in the beginning, no big deal. But once it's like, okay, now's the time to buy, I'm ready for whatever reason that is, be it timeline or finances or anything, having something that you know you want with a margin of flexibility. Flexibility in location could be one thing, flexibility in size, flexibility in price point. Because what we know about real estate is nothing is cookie cutter. Even the cookie cutter houses that you see in the cookie cutter neighborhoods are not cookie cutter. And so if you get too locked into, I need 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, it needs to be mid-modern century, this, that, and the other, then it's like finding a needle in a haystack and can just create some challenges for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have conversations with your buyers about those things?
I think, yeah, sometimes I think most of our conversations probably stem from, okay, if we are going to buy a house in this price point, we'll need some extra cash to do some of the updates that we want. And so we kind of make sure that we have that cash set up so they do have that flexibility to make the changes. And it can be, just flooring or paint or, a kitchen as big as a kitchen. But yeah, those are the conversations that we typically have. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people don't know, kind of to your point, until you also start going out.
exactly. And that's a lot of times where the flexibility comes in is minor, of like, okay, maybe you want a turnkey house, but if there are some minor aesthetic updates that you can make and you love the floor plan and the footprint of the house, that might be a worthwhile sacrifice, if you will, to make in your ability to be flexible. So the third thing, and this you probably find often, LeAnne, is the willingness to move quickly once you find that property that you're really interested in. Today's market is kind of wonky, right? Because we've got homes that have been sitting for months and months, and then we also have homes that come to the market and fly off the shelves, so to speak, the very first weekend. And I can't tell you how many times I'm working with buyers, and when we're in this place, they sometimes want to avoid the new hot listing because they don't want to get into the competition. So they lean a little bit more on the listings that have been sitting for a while, thinking that they have all the time in the world and all the negotiation in the world. But there's something almost psychological that happens. And I tell my clients this all the time. Consider the fact that if you are interested in a house, there are probably other buyers out there who are in the same boat as you. So you might not always have the ability and the flexibility to wait for as long as possible because you might miss out. And so if there's something that you're really interested in and really can see yourself creating a life and creating a home in, or creating an investment in, if that's where you're at, the willingness to act quickly when you know is really imperative.
Well, yeah, and I mean, someone that makes a strong buyer on my end as far as timing, for sure, is getting documents. Doing,
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, it's not the fun part, you're not out looking at houses, but getting us the documents and everything that we request. So you are fully approved and you are that strong buyer. So that's very important. I always tell people, when you go under contract, that first week is kind of hectic, but that first week
Yeah.
is most important because that's when we need to make sure we meet all those contract deadlines. So
Yeah, definitely. Because we both have to-do lists on both of our sides to get you moving and get you into the heart of the contract so that we can get you to the closing table. And there's documents, there's inspections to schedule, there's all sorts of things. So that willingness to move quickly not only is in the offer that you're making to get you under contract, but all the actions that follow quickly after.
yeah.
And then the last thing I'd say to make yourself a strong buyer is not being afraid to negotiate. So even when it is a seller's market, if it still is a seller's market in your area, it's okay to ask for things that you might want in inspection, in price point, in seller credits, whatever that might be that's going to make your situation optimal for you. You have to remember that this is your home purchase and your life. And so it's okay to really, and we don't want to go too far outside the bounds of what's acceptable in the market that you're in, but it's okay to go ahead and ask for the things that you need to ask for. That sometimes comes up in like seller credits in different creative ways, right, LeAnne, to
Hmm.
make the buyer's financial situation optimal too.
Yeah, because they can help decrease, their total cash to close, or help buy down interest rates, things of that nature to help, the overall cash flow at the closing table.
Yeah,
I mean, our ultimate goal, is to find you a home that you love, and that when you're sitting at the closing table signing the documents, you're excited and it was
exactly.
easy.
Exactly. And I think that willingness to negotiate, if it becomes a necessary element of your transaction, also shows the seller and the seller's agent that you are a savvy buyer and you do know what you're doing in order to put yourself in an optimal position, which is good for everybody
Yeah.
ultimately. All right, LeAnne, well, I think that's all I have in terms of being a strong buyer. Anything else you want to add for the viewers?
No, I don't think so. I mean, right now is, to me, still a great time to purchase a home.
Yeah.
So if you have questions or just want to see what that payment looks like, reach out and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, likewise, we are always here for you. So, please click subscribe, click like on the video, reach out to us directly if you have any questions. And with that, we will see you all next time.
Bye.